Hello.
Hi, Ben.
Look at me, I'm recording.
Or good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask Ben if you can start the recording for us. And
All right, she's on.
all right. So thank you all so much for coming to the fourth session of the School Garden Leadership Training Series. Today's session is called What, Where, When? Planting with Students. And if you haven't already, please take a minute to type into the chat your name, your county, and a successful garden crop that you've grown. And we're going to use this information as proof of attendance, so for your CEUs. And also just some housekeeping before we get into some of the presentation content. If you could all please turn off your videos and mute your microphones, that will help make the presentation smooth. And feel free to put questions into the chat. We're not going to stop during the presentation, but after the presentation, we're going to answer as many questions as we can from the chat box. And whatever we can't get to, we're going to follow up with in the Facebook group. And we also left some time afterwards. If anyone wants to stay, we're going to have some of the presenters be able to answer your questions following the presentation. So if this is your first School Garden Leadership Training session, this series is designed for school garden leaders of all levels to build gardening confidence and to foster collaboration amongst, we want to create connections amongst all of you and amongst leaders and of different levels of experience to share with each other and to strengthen garden programs for long-term success. So really to build support. This series for 2020 is virtual, and it's provided by University of Florida IFAS Extension Family Nutrition Program in collaboration with Florida Agriculture in the Classroom. Today's speakers are myself, I'm the facilitator, Selena Rolfs with FNP. We have Travis Mitchell presenting with University of Florida Family Nutrition Program, also Ben Wrobel from University of Florida Family Nutrition Program, and we have Jennifer Morgenthal presenting from Florida Agriculture in the Classroom. Today's topics that we're going to cover are plant selection, considerations, and resources for you. So what should I think about when I'm deciding what to plant? Some tips for planting your garden with students outside from an experienced garden leader, and some curriculum activities from Florida Agriculture in the Classroom for ideas you can do in this this year 2020 when maybe you're at home or things are virtual and people are not out in the normal garden scenarios. And a little bit about our program before we get into the content. Our program is called the University of Florida IFAS Extension Family Nutrition Program, or FNP for short. We provide SNAP education in Florida with classes in Spanish and Haitian Creole in some counties. And we've provided free nutrition education to SNAP eligible communities since 1996. And FNP is currently in 40 counties in the state of Florida. Our mission is to help limited resource families in Florida access healthier food on a budget and adopt healthier eating and physical activity habits to reduce risk of obesity and chronic disease. And we do that through nutrition education and many other programs, including gardening, which is what we're here to talk about today. So without further ado.
Well, thanks, Lena. I hope we didn't just lose you there. You look frozen. My name's Travis. I'm just going to go over some basic stuff for those of you that are new to gardening of things to consider for your plant selection. And if Selena, you're not frozen, you can go to the next slide, or if you are frozen, we might need to do some emergency screen share switching. I'm gonna move forward with talking even though we don't have the slides moving right now. So the big 5 things I'm gonna be going over today. Oh yeah, looks like we lost Selena. So let me try, I have some issues with my screen sharing. We'll let her just jump back on. I'll just do voice for right now. So what we're gonna be going over are what I would consider the sort of big 6 things to consider for your plant selection for your garden. The first one's gonna be your place, right? Most of you are here in Florida, but there's obviously a big difference between Pensacola and Miami. And even within your area, there might be parts that get more cold or warm. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. The time of the year, we may not have the traditional 4 seasons here in Florida, but obviously in North Florida, you need to be concerned with cold. And then all across the state, we're going to be concerned with that coming heat and humidity. It's going to make it very difficult. Space, it's a big mistake a lot of our new gardeners make, is not giving enough space for individual plants to grow out to maturity. And whether you're going to choose between a seed and a transplant. And I apologize on the presentation right now. Selena, I think is having some technical issues, and she is the one sharing the screen. So I can try to share mine, but I had issues earlier. Let's see if we can get this to work here. Apologies, everybody. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome.
I can
Thank you.
see it too.
All right, so I'm not going to worry up to their motion issues with that. So here's where I'm going to try to catch up our lost time here. So here's a map of the Florida zones. This is a really common thing you're going to see on a lot of plants. This measures what your average cold is going to be in 10-degree increments. So you'll see Pensacola, you might see as lows as far down to 10 to 15, while if you're way down in Miami or parts of South Florida, frost is going to be very rare. Just check chat. I know, Mary, I had issues with my presentation mode, so I'm just going to leave it like this for now. So hopefully we can at least see the slides. So another one I want to go over real quick is one way to break it forward is this idea of north, central, south. You'll see this a lot of our IFAS documentation. I have 2 different maps here. These are both from IFAS. I want to have both of them just let you guys know if you're on a sort of border area that you can have a little bit of looseness. You can decide which one you want to do, right? So if you're in a very warm part of, say, Volusia County, you may be able to do stuff with South Florida recommendations. So this is a really common guide we recommend to everyone. This is the IFAS Vegetable Gardening Guide. We'll have this linked in our Google Drive. I just want to show here it has the north, central, south split. And you'll see for then South Florida, we have full, oh, you can't see presentation at all. Okay, yeah, I have screen sharing issues. Selena, can you go back are you back on? Can we get your screen up?
Yes, 1 minute.
Sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties here. I thought we had this sorted out. While we deal with these visuals, I'll just keep talking. We got a lot to go through today, and hopefully we'll get this sorted out. So what I was going to try to show you here is just a little cutout from the Florida Vegetable Gardening Guide. And I wanted to go over if that is just important things to think about that are going to be in that, and that's plant spacing. The depth of the seeds is very important. It's all going to be different depending on what you're growing, and also how well it's going to transplant, right? How well it's going to do from starting as a seed that you grow it up to a small plant and then moved over into a new place, or something you need to be planted directly the first time. You go to the next slide, Selena. Now, most of that information is for row crops, right? And that's how it's kind of written out. Most school gardens, in my experience, are doing these raised beds and using square foot gardening. So square foot gardening or spacing is going to be a little bit different. Unfortunately, we currently don't have any good IFAS documentation that'll tell you how many plants per square foot or how many square feet per plant. There's a lot of good information out there online, and definitely one of our F&P specialists can help direct you to more info on that. Next slide, Selena. So another important thing to keep in mind, you'll see a lot of this kind of information, is direct seeding and transplanting, right? I mentioned this earlier. So direct seeding refers to when you're going to be planting that seed where it's going to live its life. So traditionally, almost every root crop, you want to plant a direct seed in the ground and let it do its thing its entire life cycle. And it's not going to like growing in one place and being moved over. Whereas plants like tomatoes and peppers are traditionally started in a protected area, grown into a small plant, and then transplanted over. Next slide, Selena. So this is just a breakdown from our Grow to Learn guide. This will also be available in the Google Drive. And these are just recommendations. Some people might like to do this a little bit differently. I know for myself, I generally like to direct seed lettuce, not transplant it. But these are just general recommendations for different crops to give you an idea of what might work best. And then I just want to go over a little bit too. If you're a new gardener, seed packets have a ton of information. They'll tell you things like spacing and seed depth, with the one little asterisk being that because Florida is kind of oftentimes the exception to the rest of the United States, and these seed packets are pretty small, I would definitely double check local and Florida specific resources for planting dates. Then I just want to go over a little bit, if you decide to grow your own transplants, it can be a great activity to do if your classroom. You can do it if a grow light or if you have a very sunny window, works great. You want to make sure you have a really nice loose soil mix. Ideally, you can get something called a seeding mix that's extra fine. And then you want to be using a gentle watering, right? We don't want to be blasting these delicate little plants with a lot of water. And that's one of the reasons you want to have them in a protected area too, is that Florida rain can just be very heavy and really disrupt and move seeds around and causes problems trying to grow them out. Something else I would note with transplants, if you're doing your own, is you want to make sure you give them a little bit of time to harden off, as we'll often call it, where they go from being a protected zone to full sun. You don't want to do that right away. So you want to keep them in a partially or fully shaded area for a few days or a week before you move them out into the full sun. And the final thing I want to go over is making sure you're thinking about what are you going to do with this plant, right? What's our goal with this garden? And then if it's, assuming we're all there to harvest stuff, how many days is it going to take for when I plant this to harvest? And all these plants are going to be a little bit different. So if you're doing, say, a theme garden or something like that, you want to make sure you're taking into account how much time those different plants are going to take from starting to finishing. And also something I always like to tell teachers to keep in consideration too is what's your harvest window? And what I mean by that is to say an okra plant, it's going to go from a really nice, tender, edible okra pod to a really tough, woody pod that we don't want to eat, like that. You're really going to have to pick that okra every day. Whereas carrots or say a collard green, it's going to give you a lot more leeway of how much, when you need to pull it out of the ground or harvest it. Just something to keep in consideration as you're planning your garden. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Ben. He's going to get really into some of the fun details of gardening with kids. And thanks for putting up those technical difficulties, everyone. Hopefully we'll make it through the rest of this without any more issues.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I am going to be talking with my hands and referencing my slides a little bit. So if you can arrange your screen so you can see a little bit of, when I'm doing stuff like this. So I have left off my virtual background. So just to start, my name is Benjamin Wrobel. I work for University of Florida IFAS Extension, Family Nutrition Program, Pinellas County. I teach a lot of in-class nutrition ed in elementary schools, and I also work with adults and do different things. But I have a long history of working in gardens. I've been part of a 4-H garden program now for 30 some years, and I've taught lots of different garden classes in the past. All right, so next slide, please. So usually part of my job is I don't get to physically do all the planting stuff. And did we lose our PowerPoint again? All right. Well, let me see what I can do here. File, save, okay. All right, so whenever I'm out and about, I am in the classroom and everything is very hectic and things don't go the way you planned. So usually I'm giving instructions to teachers about what you can do in the garden so that, they can plant. And this usually means that, things aren't going the greatest or the most, 100% the way you want it to go. All right, so I don't think I can show you my screen, but all right, so Lena is back. So I'm hoping she can help us with our slides. So outline your expectations. We're gonna go over crowd control, seeds or transplants, seed depth, spacing, watering, and labeling. So we're opening Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. Anyway. All right, I apologize for all of the fun stuff. This is why we do not do presenter mode in Microsoft Teams. Anyway, whenever you're doing garden stuff, be extremely specific. Tell the people exactly what you want them to do. That means, demonstrating with your hands. And whenever I'm in a classroom, I happen to have an Elmo in front of me. So I can show things very up close. I can take a seed and I can put it all the way up here and talk about, different sizes of our fingers, different lengths, counting, all that good stuff. When I'm sitting at the front of a classroom, I can do that. So I'm going to try to do that with you today. All right, so walk through each step of the process. So in our photo here, we have a whole bunch of little carrots, and we were demonstrating how do you pull a carrot. So everybody, kind of do this motion. You're going to go to the bottom of the carrot, and I want you to put your hand on the dirt, and you're going to slowly pull up your carrot. And we're going to demonstrate that 3 times so everybody sees exactly what they're going to do. And you should really do this with any age group because we have no idea what kind of garden experience people have. If they're pre-K, they don't know what a hole is. Practice the motion. So everything you do, if you're going to use a trowel, show them what acceptable trowel motions are, because the first thing they're going to do is demonstrate what they know from video games, because whatever you hand them is going to be an some kind of exotic fighting tool. So show them what acceptable use are. And we're going to be focusing on positive experiences over perfect execution. So some plants may die. This happens. Don't take really expensive things to a bunch of children and have accidents happen and be upset about it. Some of our plants are meant to be cold, so plant accordingly. All right, next slide, please. All right, so our crowd control, depending on what kind of audience you are working with, depends on the planting methods available to you. If you have a wonderful class and you're a teacher in a classroom and you have the option of training them and doing independent actions, that is wonderful. I go from classroom to classroom and pretty much get to coach that teacher in 5 minutes how to make her class plant or his class after I leave. We do follow the leader. So I have to tell them to move like a snake and follow the leader through the garden. And I always have to do the hand motion or else they don't understand. And they're going to form that kind of shrinking circle around the garden bed. So have them move in a snake so everybody can see. Have everybody help each other, help the person in front of you. If you're doing group planting, give everybody a very specific job. One person can hold the plant and then hold the plant base and flip it over. That might take 2 kids if they're little, or people that aren't have shaky hands or anything like that. Just kind of know your audience. You can have a group of 6 kids plant 1 plant if they each have a job. If you have a great class or you have kind of a different situation, like I get to work with a lot of EBD classes, and we get to do a little bit more free form activities. So we might do some random planting, and sometimes that's okay. Like sometimes you're planting somewhere that food shouldn't be grown. So you might be growing like a corn that is not going to be eaten because it's like grinding corn or something like that. There's other plants that can grow and make fruits that aren't foods if you have that option. Just label as such because people will eat everything. Measuring. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to have a camera today and not a background is kind of showing you some of these things. This is a drywall square. Now, I don't recommend you necessarily go out and buy one of these because it's not cheap and it's a tool meant for building a house. But I happen to own one, so it's what I use. A lot of times I'll borrow a yardstick from a teacher. But the great thing about my camera here is I can get in there and show you that this is 2 inches wide or whatever. I've never actually measured it, but this is just the right size to put a seed over here and a seed over here. And if we do radishes, we can do seeds every inch. That's a little overcrowded and you should go back and cull them, but in my situation, a ton of tiny radishes are what I want. I don't need giant full-size radishes. Although some of the kids do enjoy making themselves cry by eating radishes. So some kids enjoy that, some don't, kind of see what experience they're looking for. Use whatever you have, use whatever the kids are learning with. If they're learning with those measurement blocks where there's 1 or 10 or 100, use those. If you don't have time, use your hands. Like think about the size of their fingernail or to 1 knuckle, 2 knuckle, maybe a whole hand deep. If they're planting something very large, it might be a whole arm deep. I try to keep it as simple as possible because we don't have the time. All right, so counting in relevant numbers, sometimes evens, odds, sometimes 1, count by 1, and that's enough difficulty. So let's not overcomplicate the garden. I don't want anybody crying about numbers when we're supposed to be focusing on having a fun time planting a seed. So everybody help each other. This isn't our test time. And I keep it to 1 measurement at a time. Now you might have a more advanced group and you can give them an equation they can solve that'll tell them the coordinates to put their seed, or you might just want to say, put it about a hand away from another seed, because sometimes you're just planting radishes for fun. Next slide, please. All right, so seeds or transplants, know your audience. If you're gonna do the thing with Bonnie Cabbage where they send you 200 cabbages, be prepared to plant 200 cabbages. Schools try to give me all of their excess cabbages, but I can't deal with 150 cabbages. I'm sorry. Plant them somewhere. Even if you grow a bunch of tiny cabbages, that's really the best thing for most people. Does everybody need a cabbage this big? Unless you got a big family, something like this is probably better suited to you. Transplants are great for smaller groups of kids. If you have, like say a great, well-behaved group, transplants are a lot of fun. But in my scenario with 400 children at a school, that we want to give everybody that experience of planting, the transplants are not the way to go. Now, if you have an awesome garden club or a bunch of awesome teachers that are going to help you, or administration, plant operations, volunteers, whoever's around, if you have that support, then you might want to be more ambitious. Killing seeds is pretty hard to do. Seedlings, yes, but seeds, no. If your kids are going to drop their seeds 100 times and you know it's going to happen, give them pumpkin seeds. You know, you can step on them, it's fine. Or give them radish seeds. You know, who cares? They've dropped 10 of them. You're going to have 10 random, radishes growing in the grass. That's fine. That's still food, for animals and other stuff. So you can still pick them and, probably not eat them depending on where they're growing, but it's still neat to do. Holding our seeds. So I want everybody to, show me a cupped palm. Whatever you do, under the camera. Usually it's a over the top Elmo. So I'm like, everyone show me a pincher finger. And I want you to pinch into your palm. So everybody show me how you pinch a seed into your palm. And we are not going to do two palms because if everyone looks through, you're going to see there's a gap and that seed is going to fall through there. So everybody make one cup palm and pinch that seed. Now you're still going to lose, maybe 10% of your seeds depending on your age group, but don't plant anything that you're going to be upset about people dropping seeds for. So do everything at least 3 times. So everybody has seen it and they can practice while they're waiting in line. When they drop their seed, just give them another one. Do not punish them. Don't let the teacher punish them if they want to. It's not a big deal. We need positive food outcomes. We want people to be happy about the garden, not mad because someone was mean to them when they were a child and they've never hated vegetables ever since. Seeds are cheap. Again, I buy an ounce of radish seeds and I can just hand them out like candy to teachers because it's no big deal to give them 100 seeds for 20 kids and they're going to lose a bunch. Next slide, please. So I had some soil blocks on that last slide there. That's a real cheap way to do a lot of seedlings if you are going to do transplants, but it is kind of a system that you can look into. Whenever you're planting, if you don't have time, dig a trench. So I have this thing. So as you can see in that photo, it has perfectly spaced little radishes popping up. And on accident, I double planted radishes and carrots, and they all came up and it worked out great. Now, the plant operator turned off the water to the garden after the kids left, but we still grew a lot of very tough carrots. So how deep? Think about, you look at your seed packets, other people talk about, the way to figure that out. But I'm talking about like fingernails. How deep are you telling the people to plant those seeds? Radishes, a fingernail deep is fine. Half an inch is fine. Some seeds, it can be wildly different. So think about your hands and pick something. And if you're doing transplants, make sure that is at, as deep as the pot is. And stuff like tomatoes, you can plant way too deep and it does help them. How will they dig? Think about it. If your soil is nice, digging with your hands is a great way to go, but some people may not have that experience. Tools can cause problems if they're going to be wild with them. And, think about something they might already be used to using, like a popsicle stick or a pencil, because you can poke a little pencil hole just deep enough for a radish seed and it's perfect. Next slide, please. All right, so our plant spacing, think about the plant. What does the guide say? What space do you have available and what is your goal? If you're a farmer and you're trying to grow, a ton of food to make your money back and to feed a bunch of people, then you're going to have different requirements than a child's garden at elementary school. We plant a lot of stuff at random just for fun because the kids want to plant it. And because of this, I started growing corn. I didn't think you could grow corn in Pinellas, but it works. So, whenever you're thinking about planting stuff too, it's assumed we're going to cull some of them. You're going to pinch off some of those seedlings with the radishes at 1 inch a piece. I don't do that. And it works out just fine, but it's a good lesson to learn about scarcity and, nutrition in the soil. Allow for some confusion so that all the kids don't know whose plant is whose. So that shouldn't be that way because some are going to die. Some are going to get eaten by squirrels. One might get stepped on. So it's our plants, our garden. It belongs to all of us. If a plant gets hurt, we should all be upset. But why did it get hurt? Maybe it got eaten by bugs. figuring this stuff out is important, but don't get caught up in it, because a lot of teachers were very upset someone was destroying all the sunflowers and it's just parrots outside. So, try to make sure everyone stays calm at the same time. All right, so there's going to be mistakes. Just roll with them, and you might create something new or have a fun experience or grow something to dissect, just for fun sometime. All right, next slide, please. And that is a hydroponic tower that a parent brought into one of the schools that I got to play with. And that grew basil leaves that were like way bigger than my actual hand. So you could do like a caprese salad roll up or something fun. Watering. This is a carrot that it was in a very dry scenario and we got a real heavy rain. It exploded, and that's a fun thing to teach children about, hydraulic pressure or drought and famine and what happens when it goes from hot to cold or wet to dry. Always water at the base. If it's water on the leaves, the plant gets a disease. We want to keep our leaves dry. Usually have an adult hold the hose unless you got a good crowd. Water before and after to save time if that's available, so that you're not using your participants' time up to do some of the time-consuming stuff, because dry soil hates water. That's hydrophobic. It is going to take a long time for that water to soak into the soil. And we have lost Selena again, but I have my slides ready to go here. All right. So whenever you're going to be planting, this is a good time. Get your hands dirty. Make mud. Why am I not the speaker view? Anyway, so live plants, make a lot of mud. Make sure that the kids are having fun. They're not making a huge mess. And some kids have never made mud before, and they are going to absolutely love it. And it's going to be one of those first time experiences that you get to share in, and then spend a lot of time with the hose, washing the children off. But, that's an experience children need. All right. So I think we need to go back a slide. All right. Okay, there we go, perfect. So mix your compost with your perlite if you wish to use it. Perlite is a mineral. It makes a lot of dust. Anytime you have mineral dust, it is not a good idea to breathe it. It's not like asbestos where it's, incredibly bad, but, with kids, no dust is what we want. So I mix it with a little bit of compost, water, and there's no dust after that, and it's totally safe. Soak after regardless, no matter who did the watering in the garden. All right, next slide, please. All right, so whenever you are doing anything in the garden, make sure that you label everything. Someone should be able to enter the garden without, talking to you or the garden person, and they should be able to operate in some manner in the garden. Like, they should be able to know that there's no seeds over here, but there are seeds planted over here, because you're going to have double plantings. There's going to be drama, because in a lot of these environments, people are under a lot of stress already, and we want to make the garden a fun, happy place. So I always tell children that if you're going to be mean to each other, do it outside of the garden, because I don't have time. Just literally, not being paid right now to garden. I'm paid to teach nutrition education. So I can coach people, get them out there, but I can't be, hand holding and babysitting everybody. Ask art class. Maybe they would like to help. Maybe they got a project that fits right in with garden education with those standards. Paint stirrers, popsicle sticks, white rocks, old rulers, anything you have. We had a master gardener who came in and had the kids make these beautiful white rocks at a school where the kids won't throw these nice white rocks. So that is our blanket flower, our Gaillardia, which is an excellent flower to have around the garden, because it doesn't need anything as far as care, just mulch once a year and it'll love it. All right, so if you're using laminated paper like Ms. Pullman's class here, she was the only teacher that used the label, so she gets all the credit here for all these beautiful planted rows. that is trimmed around the very outside edge, leaving a gap of plastic so that rain cannot ruin that label immediately. And if you do that, you'll get a season out of some nice laminated labels. All right. Yeah, so just make sure that you leave some space if you have the opportunity so that other people can enter the garden and do stuff. All right, next slide, please. All right, so above all else, make it fun because we're all going to have mistakes. There's going to be accidents. There's going to be problems. But we need people to come away from the garden with positive experiences no matter what happens. If their plant gets eaten by bugs, look at those bugs under a microscope and learn about caterpillars, because even though that bug just ate our plant, it's going to turn into probably a beautiful moth or butterfly. Those giant hawk moths that come out of the tomato hornworms, those things are pretty impressive if you've never seen one in person. So there's a lot of things to glean even from accidents in the garden. I'm happy if it's green. The plant grew, great. We had a success. If we get a tomato, that was awesome. That's about all we got because the squirrels started starving after the kids left and ate all of the green tomatoes. I think a squirrel ate like cherry tomatoes and died afterward because there's just this huge pile of tomatoes. So, think about your wildlife as well and maybe plant something they can eat so they don't eat your tomatoes. Try things that'll fail just for fun. I didn't think corn was ever going to grow, but it did. And I had a lot of success. And I have my own dried corn that the school can show off during the holidays. In this picture here, we got 200 pounds of sweet potatoes that grew over the summer with no care. We just left the automated irrigation on. Everybody doesn't have to like what's being grown in the garden. Grow things you don't like because someone else might like it, and it can still be fun to grow. There's foods I don't like, but I'm really good at growing them, probably because I don't like them. So I'm always giving them away, and everybody loves it, and thanking me for this thing that I just really don't want to eat. You must be nice to be in the garden. That is my #1 rule of the garden. Not going to be nice, go somewhere else. That's fine. You got problems, take them outside. It's cool, but also have administrators, have the officer friendly, whoever's around there, whoever talks to the kids, use the garden as a place to talk, because being in the garden takes people out of that drama mindset that, if someone pushed somebody over here and you take them into the garden, sometimes they'll, be able to talk about it instead of just being upset. So I had a SRO tell me how great the garden was for talking to children because they forgot about the drama for a minute and talked about what was bothering them. And the bees, we've studied this. There's they can recognize faces. So I tell the children that if you're mean, the bees are going to remember you. And, if you get stung because the bees are upset because you hit one, that is your fault. So that actually did happen where a kid kicked a wasp and the wasp went and flew and stung the kid next to him and then flew over here, stung this kid. This kid in the middle is best friends. So, at that point, we don't want to encourage mob justice, but, when your friends are mad at you because you did something unkind, that does, make a lasting memory. All right, so that's my last slide, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ben. So I am going to hand it over now to Jennifer Morgenthal from Florida Ag in the Classroom, and she's going to share some curriculum activities for you all.
Hi, everyone. So if you can go to the top right of your screen and click speaker view so that I'm showing up on your whole screen, because what I'm doing is some hands-on activities and I want to make sure that I'm big enough so that you can see me. So first step. Second step, I'm Jennifer Morgenthal. I'm the education specialist with Florida Agriculture in the Classroom. We are a nonprofit that creates resources, has grants, hands-on activities, professional development opportunities for educators in the state of Florida to bring agriculture into your classrooms. So I'm going to show you a couple different things that we utilize that kind of went along with the lesson today. We have a ton on our website. You can order our materials. They're all for free. You can access lesson plans from the website. All of that is there for you. So I'm just going to go over a couple for today. So the first one is called Planet Map It, and that is from our Gardening for Grades curriculum book. And this is what the book looks like. And throughout here, lots of lesson plans, worksheets that go with them, what standards they meet, all kinds of great stuff. But the Planet Map It one is a way for students to plan out a garden that they want to grow, or maybe that you have at your school. So this is actually I would say a K to 12 grade. We have it listed as K to 7th, but you can add things to it, make it more difficult, different aspects of it for the higher grade levels. For the younger grade levels, however, the kind of summary of it is they are going to pick some plants, like say they pick tomatoes, carrot, radishes, and then they're going to do a little bit of research, I would say, into that plant and see the variety, how wide the row needs to be for that plant to be planted in it, the space that it needs to have in between the plants, and then how tall that plant is going to grow. And that way, if they're growing tomatoes and they're growing heirloom versus beefsteak, they can kind of plan out, I can't put these things right this far. They have to have some space. They grow tall. They're going to need something to help support it grow tall. Things like that. That's what you're wanting to look like. And if you plant cucumbers next to something, obviously a cucumber is going to spread out. Those types of things. And there is actually a chart in there that they can fill out with it. And we put all these worksheets and this lesson plan into the Google Drive for this session. So you can find everything there that I go over. But this is what they'll fill out. And so for the younger grades, it may be easier just to give them some of the info. Like say you give them an example of 12 plants and you give them all the information, but they go through and they pick which ones that they want to grow and put next to each other and keep the spacing and the height in mind. But as we get into the older grade levels, there's things that you can add to it to make it a little bit more challenging for them. I know kindergarten, they're learning things like they're learning shapes. They're observing plants and animals, comparing and contrasting those, using their 5 senses. They're keeping records by drawing pictures. They're learning measurements, usually the simple units of measurements. And then when we get into first grade and second grade, we're going deeper into measurements. We're comparing inches to foot, things like that. They also start their speaking and listening skills in those grade levels. So that's a good opportunity. You can break them into groups. They can plan a garden together. For first grade, they're creating models, dividing shapes into specific equal size shares. So if you had a rectangle, like that square foot gardening comes into play, observing living things, investigating, and they do get into money and what, nickel versus a quarter versus a dollar. So you could put a price aspect into this if you wanted to. But I think when we step up into 3rd through 5th grade, you could really add some of that into it as well. 3rd grade, they start giving presentations, oral presentations. So if they've mapped out their garden and then they're going to give that presentation in front of the classroom, that would be a great opportunity for that. They're also getting into the area and the perimeter, fractions, division, multiplication. So all that can come into play when you're planning and mapping out a garden. 4th grade, they're getting into angles and line segments and symmetry, measurements, and using scaling, drawing from 1 inch here on my drawing is going to equal this much footage in the garden, that type of thing. They're also talking about resources that are available to them in Florida. So if we're mapping out where on our school campus we're going to put this garden, they need to think about, is water available there? What kind of soil is located there? Because in 4th grade, they're talking about soil types. So is it clay? Is it sand? Is it going to hold water? Am I going to have to water a lot? They're planning out those types of things. Plant reproduction, also seasonal changes in Florida. So all those things are coming into play into that 3rd to 5th grade. Financial literacy comes into play. So that whole like, oh, I'm getting a paycheck, what can I spend this paycheck on? So you can put the money aspect into there as well. And then 5th grade, we're kind of getting into discussions and roundtable type discussing, so they can map out something and then kind of have a discussion of the different aspects of their different designs. They also are learning how to give reports. They're getting into formulas. They're using graphing paper, weather, the effects of weather on a garden would be a great thing. Natural disaster plan was something I really thought was cool because the standard is a natural disaster plan at home, but you could teach them, okay, if we have a natural disaster coming, what are we going to do with our garden at that point? Where could we plant our garden on campus so that there's a little bit of protection if something like this happens, if a hurricane comes through? And so they're thinking through those problems so that when they do plan a natural disaster plan for home, they have that thinking process in their mind. And all of this can go into actually planning the garden. So we start out really simple with younger age and grow really more complex with the higher levels. And then there is a worksheet in your Google Drive. And this is actually one that we got in a course that we're taking. And this is a little more complex. So this would definitely be for your middle high school. And this is a chart where garden classroom design, and it's different aspects that you could have in the garden, like a tool shed, composting, greenhouse, trees, your vegetable garden, your food prep area, your learning area. So, those middle and high school students could really map this out and answer these questions and map out a full garden for you. And you could do it, based on space that you have on campus. If you don't have a school garden, they could pick a place on campus that they think one would fit. And this is I'll show you my design that I did for that class, which it's not to scale, but it definitely was one that, I turned in and I mapped everything out. So it's just kind of a simple sketch, but you could definitely get more complex with the Planet Map It according to what grade level you are teaching. So that's a really cool one. And it's a cool way to kind of have your kids take stake in what they're planning, because you could use some of these design aspects that they pick and put it in your school garden. So the next activity is seed tape. And this is definitely, I think it can be used for any grade level. The younger grade levels, this is really good for, especially if you're already have your garden set up and you're wanting to go out and plant things. Sometimes with those younger kids, they're still learning that spatial reasoning, how much space we need to put in between each plant, how deep we need to plant it. Like Benjamin said in his last talk, was just planning those things out. And this is a way to do that before you go into the garden. So seed tape, you can use either toilet paper, or you can use a strip of newspaper. And what you want to do, the goal is that the students are putting the seeds onto, adhering it to this or this before you go out into your garden. And you can tell them, plant it 1 inch apart, plant it 2 inch apart, however far apart you want. They're using their rulers here. And then you can either use glue, because glue is, your non-toxic glue from your Elmer's glue, or you can use water flour mixture, and all of that can go straight into the ground. So once you tell them how far apart, they'll put their little dollops on there where they need to put them, and then they place their seed on top. And here's a couple examples. This is seed tape that I did that has sunflower seeds on it, spaced apart, and this goes right into the ground and they bury that. And then here is one that has lima beans on it, which this would be really good for younger age and their tiny fingers. This would be super easy for them. And this is probably not spaced accordingly, but I just stuck them on there to give you an example. And then that goes straight into the ground. And it's really cool. And, with your older age groups, you can talk about, why is it safe that the toilet paper goes in the ground? Why is it okay that the newspaper goes in the ground? You can talk about that aspects of it as well. But it's easy to do that into a classroom, and then the kids can take that with them out into your garden, and it's much quicker to plant that way, because sometimes we just don't have a ton of time out there. So we want to kind of use that time wisely. So this is a really cool hands-on activity that you can do that is super cheap, because we do know that needs an important aspect of it as well. And then the last thing I'm really going to talk about is container gardens. We know that not everybody can have a huge outside garden area, and that is okay because there are tons of things you can do in your classroom or right outside your classroom door that will work for starting and growing plants. So I'll show you a couple different things that I have. So I love self-watering container garden type things because I forget to water all the time. And of course, you're going to be going home on the weekend. So you don't want to have to always come up there on a Saturday or Sunday to water. So these self-watering are awesome. This one is made out of a water bottle, literally cutting it in half, keep your lid on, puncture a hole through your lid, and you just use yarn. And that yarn is going to go into the top where your soil will be, and then also down into the bottom where the water will be. And you just set it down in there, and you're going to fill this up with water to right underneath your cap. And then you're going to put your soil and your seed in there, and it will pull the water up into the plant to where that plant gets what it needs and will grow. And that is a small example of, here's a couple other ones that I made out of cups. And I just used a plastic cup, and I used a little punch sized cup that happened to fit right down perfectly in it. So you just put your water in the bottom, your yarn in, and then it fits perfectly, and that will start to grow. So that's an example of that size. And then if you really want to get big, you can take your recycled milk jugs, vinegar, whatever you're utilizing, and you can do the same thing there. And I will show you, this has grown so big, but this is a sunflower seeds that I grew. And this has all just been sitting up in a windowsill. Nowhere fancy, just and actually it's a west facing windowsill, so it gets light at least half the day. But this is a sunflower seeds that have grown, and that is a vinegar jug. And I just used some masking tape to reinforce around the lid because it does have a handle, so it tends to want to kind of fall down into the bottom part. But I'll show you, the roots on it are awesome too, so students can really see that development. So that's really cool. And then the other thing is, if you notice, I don't know if you guys can see, but the plant actually grew towards the sunlight. So a little bit of that phototropism there, where it's growing towards what it needs, because there's it didn't grow facing this way. Obviously I stuck it in the window facing that way, but this grew really, really good. And this is obviously going to have to come out of here because they're growing fast and big. And so once you have something started and it's growing big, then you can take it and put it into these. So I'm actually going to transplant that sunflower into here, and that gives me something bigger that it can actually grow in, and have that inside wherever it's getting sunlight. And this actually surprisingly fits on our windowsill because we kind of have a very deep windowsill. But you guys, a lot of times in your classrooms, you have desks that you can put by the window, or you have bookshelf by the window, or some of you have really big windowsills, so you can set these things inside of those as well. So those are some cool ideas for, you know, different size container gardens. Also, I recycle pill bottles, any kind of, I even use Tylenol, any of those, and you can start seeds in these as well, because, you know, what else do you do with these things? And then these are great for seed storage, because seeds need to be stored usually in the refrigerator if you want them to last for a long time. So these are great for seed storage as well. But you can start seeds in these, and they don't take a lot of space up in your classroom either. And then you can go all the way down to as simple as a garden in a bag or garden in a glove, and hang that on your windows. So if you don't have the counter space, you can tack this to the window, and that's going to start growing in there as well. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys was really cool. My kids wanted to do this, and my husband wanted to do this, so we did it. It's never worked for me before, but it worked this time. I think maybe I just didn't wait long enough. But I started an avocado seed, and this is how we started that in the water in a jar. And what's really cool is that avocado seed, you can actually see when it starts to grow, sprouts its roots out the bottom, and then it has its little sprout out of the top, which We are in Florida, so Travis assures me that this may not survive the winter, but I'm going to bring it in and it's going to survive inside. But it's really cool to see how the seed split open and that top of the plant came out and the bottom of the plant came out, and the kids can see that happening in front of them. And then you can kind of teach them about tops and bottoms, eating a carrot versus eating lettuce, eating broccoli versus eating a radish. What part of the plant am I eating? Sunflower seeds, obviously we're eating the seed of the plant, and teaching the different parts of the plants with that. And then the last container garden I'm going to show you guys, we built this little garden, little windowsill greenhouse out of a copy box, which most schools have a ton of. So you can take these and recycle them into little greenhouses. And so all we did was cut out some sides so that it has some transparent areas. I wouldn't cut it all the way super thin because you lose the integrity of that cardboard. So that's why I left some thickness so that it wouldn't just cave in. But I used recycled Ziploc bags. That's all this is that this was a 2-gallon Ziploc bag that I had, and I recycled it and put it on, taped it on here. And then for the inside, I just took rulers or paint sticks, and I just reinforced the top with that and tape. And then I used Ziploc bags for the sides. And all we did was we put some of our self-watering, or even some of our, like if you had soil in here and you put this down into your greenhouse and you have plants growing there, and I would spray every once in a while. I would take the lid off and spray just a good mist of water in there. And if it's sitting in that windowsill, it's getting that sunlight, it's got the condensation happening, and that all happens within your little tiny greenhouse. So you don't even have to have a huge greenhouse on campus. You can make your own, which is really, really cool. So that is just a bunch of different types of container gardens that you can do, and you can just teach different things from that. Like I said, the tops and bottoms is a really cool activity, and we actually have a book that we love to show people. It's a tops and bottoms book, and it just is teaching kids about what part of the plant they're eating. And I love it because you actually read it from top to bottom. So it's a really cool book to go along with teaching them about what they're growing and the nutrition of what they're eating and the parts of the plant and what part they're eating and those types of things. So that's kind of a quick summary of some of the things that we have, but of course, visit our website, faitc.org.com. Am I saying .org? For a second there, I was like, .com? No, that's not right. faitc.org, agtad.org, and go to that. And our lessons are on there, our make and takes, our curriculum books. You can order our curriculum books. We have a lot of cool resources in there, but all these things go with your school garden or go with what you're trying to teach and accomplish with these gardens in your classroom. So if you have any questions for me, I will hang out a little bit after, but that is kind of the activities that I brought for you guys today.
Jen, thank you so much for sharing those great activities from Florida Ag in the Classroom. And as was posted in the chat, there are many curriculum resources at their website, and this is the contact info where you can reach Jen and Becky. We also have here today from Florida Ag in the Classroom. And thank you all so much for coming to our presentation today. We talked about some plant selection considerations, things you want to think about when you're deciding what to plant, some tips for when you're working with students out in the garden, and some planting curriculum activities from Florida Ag in the Classroom. And there's so many more on their website. And then there's also in the Google Drive some documents with handouts specifically on the activities that were presented today. And if you could all take a minute to please complete the session survey today, that would be greatly appreciated, so we can, we can hear your thoughts and thank you also for bearing with us with all the technical struggles. And please stay in touch with through our Facebook group. We definitely we love connecting all of you with one another to share and support each other, share resources, share your questions. And the resources, slides, and video recording will be available in the Google Drive folder. And we hope to see you for our future session. The next one is on November 10th, and it is focused on soil, and it's called Skin of the Earth. So thank you all so much. And stick around if you have any questions, and for Jen, Travis, or Ben, or anything that we can answer for you. Thank you, everyone.
Where do we find the survey?
We will,
Um,
oh, sorry. I just put it in the chat here again.
That will be
and also
posted
emailed
in.
it to you.
Thanks for asking. So let's see. Did we have any questions, Caitlin or Travis?
We did, but I think they all got answered in the chat. But if anyone has any additional ones, we'd be happy to go over them right now.
Okay, I'm trying to do the survey. The only thing that I see is a happy face, and I put yes, it was awesome. And how do you send it in?
If you do it from your phone, or you should be able to kind of scroll down. There's 4 questions. There's 2 happy faces to kind of just generally gauge, and that should just be a submit button at the bottom, or like an orange arrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Leonidas.
You're well, I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. I love gardening. And I like the idea with the toilet thing. I never done the toilet paper seating. That's really good.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you for coming, and we're so glad that you liked the ideas, and we hope you try them with your students. And definitely check out the Google Drive for the handouts, and Florida Ag in the Classroom website for more curriculum ideas.
Can I ask a specific question on my garden?
Sure, we can do our best.
Okay, so last year I grew pumpkins, and then we went on break and they had all died. And then this year I tried squash in the same garden, and now my front row is all dying and they have like white stuff on the leaves, and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong that both plants are dying the same way.
Did you say pumpkins and squash?
Yeah.
Well, those are both in the cucurbit family. I see Travis is unmuting. Travis, do you have any tips there?
Well, I have some guesses, but probably the best advice would be if you can contact your local extension office. You can be able to send them photos.
Okay.
And they would be able to tell you much more definitively.
Okay.
It sounds like powdery mildew, just a wild guess there, because you do get like a whitish that grows on.
All right. Do we have any other questions? If not, thank you all so much, and please do share in the Facebook group. And if you think of any questions, you can add them there as well. Thank you so much to our presenters and for all our participants who came out today. I think we'll say goodbye for this session. So thank you everyone so much.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.